Welcome to Small Steps. My name's Seth Potts, and I want to show you how to create drop-down lists using data validation. So a lot of times, when you get data in, maybe from your RMS, it's pretty much just impossible for any records management system to collect every bit of information that you would want. Now, as opposed to, keep adding things that are mandatory in a records management system, sometimes we just add them ourselves when we review. So the example I have here is just a couple quick columns of data, kind of shortened down, but just case number, report date, and then, like I say, a report type. Let's just say I've pulled auto burglaries. Now, one thing I know in my system that's not tracked, and I don't know that I've seen a system that does track it specifically, is a mode of entry on a auto burglary. Because a lot of times, I mean, most of the time we get no force entry. Someone left it unlocked. Um, it's kind of hard to pick trends with that when you have quite a few of them. But what I've noticed is there's very specific things, punch locks, doors being pried or windows broken. Sometimes those come in more of a trend and might be something we can track to see the ups and downs, see if maybe there's some related incidents that are a little out of the norm. So for an example like this, instead of looking through a narrative or trying to pick and choose or let people pick and choose just random things they could type in, sometimes they misspell things. They'll write it different ways. Like in this case, instead of a broken window, they could put a window break. But if you're trying to use this information in a useful way after it's collected, you'd kind of, just to make it easier on you, you'd want it to be pretty much a choice, specific choices. You want things listed a certain way. So a good way to do that is to make a drop-down list. Now, you could do this in a shared sheet for other people to use, just to kind of make it a little more dummy-proof. Just make sure that you don't get those misspellings or things worded different ways. Or, I mean, for me, try to make it more dummy-proof for myself. So on something like this, if I'm filling this out on a regular basis and I want a list like this, we have showing here. So I have a couple of these filled out already, so you can just see a couple of these choices, and this is what it looks like in the end. When I click on one of these fields here, it's got this little arrow. It's a drop-down list, and you see I have just a few choices. I have the window break, door pride, punch lock, no force entry. And you can add or subtract that whatever you want, but I'll just show the quick process, how quick it could be to do this. So we've got another sheet here where I have it's kind of blank here. So right now you see there's no drop down on any of these, and you notice over here I have a list. So here's the first step: is you make a list of what you want. Now, I did it on this page just to have it all in one place, but you could put this on another tab, or you could put it and have it on hidden columns or whatever. You can have it wherever. So the first thing you're going to do is highlight the area that you want the data validation. You can select a whole column, but just for this example, we're just going to select these blanks that we have here. So once we select that, we're going to go up to the top here, and you kind of look over. You have your data tab, and then under the data tools section there is a button for data validation. When you click on that, you have a couple options. We're going to click this top one for data validation, and here is the menu that comes up. There's a couple different things you could do with this, but for now we're just going to focus on this drop down. So in the settings tab that comes up, you're getting to choose what you want to allow in those. Now, what's default is just any value. So anyone could put anything in there and it's not going to create an issue. You see on this list, there's multiple things you can choose. We are going to go to this one that says list, and the options that pop up for that, I always just keep the ignore blank because it's fine if there's a blank in there. And then I want to make sure this in cell drop down is checked. That gives it where people actually get to see the options on that drop down list, as opposed to just trying to guess and type something in where you might get an error message if you don't type it in right. So this is the easy choice where you can keep that in cell drop down, and then on the source itself you can just go and highlight the list that you created. And if you name the list or anything like that, you can use that here as well, just that what you've named it. So for now, I'm just going to highlight down that list. That's where our list is there. And then we are going to click OK. And you see, we got a nice little drop down. It pops up on all these when you click on them. And when you click on it, it gives you those choices. So you can easily go down and check this. And like I say, if you have a lot of data and you continue to add it, it's easier to do pivot tables or counts, count if, anything like that when you have this consistent data in here. So, and if you see if someone just started typing instead and try to enter that, you get this error message up here. And there's some other options for what kind of message for anything like that. For this, I just find it much easier to have this little drop down where people pick one of these, and it's up to them to pick the correct one, I guess. But at least it's going to be spelled the same, it's going to be worded the same, and it makes it a lot easier for you to take that information and actually do some further work with it, whether that be, like I said, pivot tables or counts, anything like that. So, drop down makes it a lot easier for that type of work. If you found this tutorial helpful and would like to see more, click like and subscribe. The next video coming up is going to be using a picture in a comment box.